Today I want to talk to you about Prophet Zechariah and the Messianic prophecies that occur in his book. Next to Isaiah, Zechariah is the one, in my opinion, who really gives us some popular Messianic prophecies that are fulfilled in our New Testament. It's Zechariah who describes that the Messiah is going to enter Jerusalem riding a donkey. This would be in stark contrast to the way the final kings of Judah would enter the city on chariots. So Zechariah is saying that this Messiah is going to be a humble servant, a lowly king. Zechariah gives us the image of Jesus as a good shepherd in contrast to an evil shepherd. And this good shepherd will lay down his life for the flock. No shepherd would do that.
I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd.
So he's going to be outside the norm. Zechariah also mentions in chapter 11 the sum of 30 pieces of silver, the cost of a slave. Zechariah chapter 12 states that divine blessings will be poured out upon the people through the interventions of an unnamed sufferer. In Zechariah chapter 13, the prophet describes that when the shepherd is killed, his sheep will scatter. This foreshadows, of course, Jesus' agony in the garden and Peter's denial that they were unwilling to stand at his side upon his persecution.
Where were you, buddy?
In Matthew 26, Jesus actually speaks these words of Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 14 verse 4 talks about how this Messiah will pray at the Mount of Olives right before the world changes. Well, of course, Jesus prays in the garden at the Mount of Olives right before the world's about to change. And Zechariah concludes his book by talking about how there will be no merchants in the temple. And as you know, in all four canonical Gospels, Jesus expels the merchants from God's temple.
Get out! Get out!
So these Messianic prophecies that we've talked about in this course, not just Zechariah, but also Isaiah and even Amos and some others, are fulfilled in our New Testament. We call that in the New Testament prophecy fulfillments. So at this point, I want to direct your attention to the 1-minute apologist. And the 1-minute apologist will tell us what are the odds that this person in the first century could have fulfilled all of these Messianic prophecies that were predicted in our Old Testament.
In his book, The New Evidence That Demands a Verdict, Josh McDowell writes, "The Old Testament, written over a 1,000-year period, contains nearly 300 references to the coming Messiah, and all of these were fulfilled in Jesus Christ. And they also establish a solid confirmation of his credentials as the Messiah." Now, to help understand the significance of Jesus' fulfillment of these prophecies, Peter Stoner, in his book Science Speaks, offers a compelling example. He hypothetically figures what the chances are of Jesus fulfilling only 8 of these prophecies. He claims the odds are 1 in 10 to the 17th power. Now, that would be 1 followed by 17 zeros. Now, to help you retain this mind-boggling statistic, Stoner illustrates it by describing 10 to the 17th power in silver dollars, by picturing them spread out over the entire state of Texas. The amount is so vast that it would cover the state of Texas 2 feet deep. Then Stoner says, now mark one of the silver dollars, stir them all up, and blindfold a man, and tell him he can go wherever he wishes, but he can only pick one. The chances of the blindfolded man has of picking the marked silver dollar is the same chances that the prophets had of writing out 8 prophecies that would be actualized in Jesus. This not only validates Jesus as the Messiah, but it gives credence to the credibility of God's inspired word. Jesus said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." If the odds of fulfilling 8 prophecies seem staggering, imagine the math on nearly 300.
Wow!